4 stories beneath the earth, behind 4-ton blast doors, Canada built a secret fortress to survive a nuclear apocalypse. Today, we're stepping inside the Diefenbunker, the forbidden underground city built to run the nation from the shadows. Topic 1. Project Ease and Cold War Atomic Paranoia. Getting a handle on the tense atmosphere of the late 1950s helps us understand just how far a nation will go in the name of survival and security. Back in those uneasy Cold War days, the threat of an imminent nuclear conflict pushed Prime Minister John Diefenbaker's government to commission a structure like nothing Canada had ever seen. Under total military secrecy and codenamed Project Ease, machines quietly started digging into the rural landscape of Carp, Ontario. The plain truth is, building an impenetrable refuge took a lot more than concrete. It took the foresight to plan for the absolute worst-case scenario. Man, that proactive mindset, seeing the storm coming and building your defenses before it hits, teaches us something powerful, and it lines up perfectly with what Napoleon Hill preached about the importance of planning ahead. Sitting back and hoping things work themselves out is a surefire recipe for personal and financial disaster. To put that same strategic protection into practice in your own life, pick up Principles for Navigating Big Debt Crises by Ray Dalio, and start building an emergency fund today that covers at least 6 months of living expenses. Having a solid foundation laid down ahead of time is the secret to staying calm when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Here's the real kicker. This project wasn't meant to be some temporary hideout. It was designed to be the beating heart of the government in case of a nuclear apocalypse. Every single detail of that underground build was engineered to keep the country running even if the capital, Ottawa, got wiped off the map by enemy missiles. And as this massive structure started taking shape underground, military engineers faced the challenge of turning that concrete abyss into a flawless, self-sufficient city. Topic 2. Engineering for Survival. The Concrete City Building. A genuine 4-story fortress buried in the ground called for engineering solutions that were practically unheard of at the time. Man, to withstand the shockwave and radiation from a bomb up to 5 megatons, engineers poured in thousands of tons of reinforced concrete and laid down thick steel beams. The plain truth is, the main entrance was protected by an L-shaped tunnel, specifically designed to absorb the blast force before it ever reached those massive 4-ton blast doors. That obsessive attention to the foundation and every layer of protection teaches us something about building rock-solid structures in our own lives, something Napoleon Hill was always big on when he talked about building unshakable foundations for success. There's no point building something huge if the foundation's too weak to handle the pressure that's bound to come. To bring that same idea of resilience into your everyday life, it's worth reading Anti-Fragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb and diversifying your sources of knowledge and income, so nothing unexpected can knock down what took you years to build. Strengthening your base is what gets you through the uncertainty. Here's the real kicker. The inside of the Diefenbunker was built to run as a fully self-contained, self-sufficient city, dozens of meters below the surface, with massive diesel generators, state-of-the-art air filtration systems, huge food stockpiles, and even its own CBC studio for emergency broadcasts. The facility could house over 500 people for 30 days without any contact with the outside world. But when that emergency alarm finally went off, the toughest question wasn't going to be whether the machines worked. It was going to be who actually earned the right to walk through those doors. Topic 3. The Chosen Few and the Doomsday Protocols. Deciding who got shelter inside that concrete mountain revealed just how coldly calculated military emergency planning really was. Man, clearance to pass through those heavy steel doors was strictly reserved for the Prime Minister, essential cabinet ministers, military commanders, and key communication staff. The plain truth is, there was no room for spouses, family, or everyday citizens. Every single spot was allocated purely to keep the state's essential functions running through the post-apocalyptic chaos. That harsh reality forces us to confront how important it is to set clear priorities and make firm decisions when we're facing a full-blown crisis. something Napoleon Hill always stressed when talking about laser focus and smart resource management on the road to bigger goals. Letting your emotions run the show during a crisis is usually the fastest way to sink the whole ship. To build that same cold, pragmatic judgment into your everyday decisions, check out Essentialism by Greg McKeown, and get in the habit of cutting out the unnecessary stuff from your routine so you can focus on what actually matters. Learning to choose with discipline is the key to protecting your future. Here's the real kicker. The bunker's protocols were designed so Canada could keep being governed from the shadows, preserving the country's sovereignty, even if every major city on the surface was left in ruins. Daily life inside that underground capsule included coded communication drills and strict rationing routines, turning the place into a monument to determination and hard-nosed pragmatism under the threat of nuclear war. But as global tensions started shifting in the decades that followed, that mysterious off-limits city ended up taking a surprising turn. Topic 4. Shutting down the giant. Lessons from history. With the Cold War over and the Soviet Union gone, that underground giant's military usefulness started fading fast. Man, in 1994, after more than 3 decades on constant standby, the Canadian government officially decommissioned the Carp military facility. The plain truth is, this place, shrouded for so long in absolute secrecy and atomic paranoia, ended up throwing open its heavy steel doors to the public, becoming what's now the well-respected Diefenbunker Museum. That transformation from a wartime fortress into a place of learning teaches us something deep about our ability to reframe our biggest fears and challenges, echoing Napoleon Hill's famous line that every setback carries the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The knowledge built up during the darkest times can become the light that guides future generations forward. To bring that same growth mindset into your daily life, it's worth picking up Mindset by Carol Dweck and getting into the daily habit of writing down the lessons you learn after every obstacle you overcome. Turning hard experiences into practical wisdom is the real mark of maturity. Here's the real kicker. Walking through the quiet hallways of that underground city today is a powerful experience, one that connects us directly to the fragility of global peace and the strength of Canada's survival spirit. The bunker still stands as a living reminder of just how far preparation and resilience can carry us in the face of unimaginable threats, and it's exactly by reflecting on this massive piece of our past that we're pushed to think about how we're building our own defenses and strategies for today's challenges. Conclusion. After diving into the secrets and the jaw-dropping engineering of the Diefenbunker, here's the question that sticks with you. How long are you going to wait for the storm to hit before you start building your own defenses in life? This incredible slice of our history proves that real security and lasting success don't happen by accident. They come from careful planning, resilience, and the guts to make tough calls before things go sideways. So what are you going to do today to shore up your future, face your biggest challenges head-on, and build a mindset that can't be shaken? If this deep dive into Canada's Cold War history was worth your time, don't wait. Subscribe to the channel right now and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next fascinating mystery from our nation's past.